Welcome back. The first best of one has been finished, and now we're going to be heading into the second one for today. It's going to be Wolves up against Varrel, but just to have a little bit more of an overview as to where we're currently standing, let's bring up that bracket, that Group D specifically, which is the group that we're currently looking at. I mean, as we've seen from the results, 7-1 for W7M Esports. They were absolutely on fire today, and Wolves up against Varrel to determine which team is going to be joining W7M up in that upper bracket, and which team will be going in the lowers against Team Bliss, which will decide the loser to be going home, and the winner is going to continue trying that lower bracket run to qualify for Phase 2. A lot on the line on this game specifically. It is going to be another best of one, the second one of today out of 4 best of ones that we have, so that is something to keep in mind. There's only one shot that both of these teams get to actually make it happen. Now, I'm not going to be walking you through this game because I wouldn't probably be very good at it, but we do have some lovely casters who will be. We have Mandy and Deb. Hi guys, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing great. And honestly, Ginny, I think you're doing a phenomenal job. So don't put yourself down. We're having a great time here, and I'm really excited to get back on the mic.
We're loving it. Having a great time.
Okay, they're really excited behind me as well. They're absolutely going for it, so I'm going to let you guys take it away and build up the hype a little further.
Thank you, Ginny. This is an exciting game for us. As you can see, we're getting a little bit festive. We're feeling the Japanese vibes. Obviously, a little bias, but I got to say, it's not just Varrel that we're rooting for here. Wolves, an awesome team. A French squad that's now got a new pickup. Deadshot making his debut here into the European League, which turned out to be quite a struggle for Wolves. They came dead last.
Yeah, so we have the insider knowledge from Wolves that Deadshot only joined the roster about 4 days before Stage 1 went live, and so they really didn't have a whole lot of time to prep with their 5 roster. But as the weeks have gone by, wow, they've been on a big resurgence. I think it's a 12-man win streak, 12-map win streak at the moment for this roster across the last qualifiers of the GWB tournament and this last chance qualifier to make it here. Show some promise for the roster.
Absolutely. Wolves have been on a serious tear in these BO3s. A lot of people called them BO1 merchants, and it's funny how the story has actually switched. I've checked it. Of the 8 BO3s that they have played, they've won 7 of them. So, well, we are in a BO1 now, which funnily enough has not been Wolves' forte. But let's get into the map veto. Let's find out which single map we will be going to between Wolves and Varrel. And it looks like we're going to Clubhouse. Wolves got the last ban. They got rid of Chalet, and we're going to Club.
Interesting one. I feel like this is comfortable territory for both teams, in my opinion. I think that for Varrel, I feel like, yeah, they've definitely played it historically, but haven't got the most incredible results on this map. So a bit of an asterisk there for me, but of course that's only what we can see on air. And for Wolves, I think this is a pretty comfy map for them as well.
Yeah, I'd like to think that Wolves have done a lot of research because there's a lot of VODs out there of Varrel playing this map. So I think that was perhaps their plan. On the outset, it appears, looking at the stats from this year, that Clubhouse is actually one of the favorite bans from Wolves. So if anything, they're the ones who have kind of subverted expectation by taking us to this map. I still think it's a good play from Wolves. Of course, the far more experienced team, and on paper, the far more favored team. Varrel, we haven't really talked about them yet, Mandy, but they are making their debut on the international stage. They failed to be champions this season in the Japan League, but they were a long time ago at the end of 2021. Now they're back. They've made their own very recent roster move. Okamesh just joining this team 46 days ago, and now they play at their very first major. They're going up against the highly esteemed Wolves on Clubhouse.
Yeah, and just to add a bit of fuel to the fire, Varrel actually knocked out CAG to be here at this major, if you keep that in mind. For y'all at home watching the major, you've probably heard of CAG. They're one and only Japanese team to be at these international events in the last couple of years, and one of 3 in total across the entire history of Rainbow Six. And so all y'all at home globally, you've probably heard of these guys, but Varrel are the new guys on the block. They knocked them out in the last chance qualifier, and now they're ready to prove themselves here on the international stage.
And Varrel, oh my God, the way that they play, it's so exciting, it's so fiery. These guys pull out the craziest stuff that you just don't see every day. Maybe you do in the Japan League, because that, I tell you what, those matches are just something else. These Japanese teams, their fiery play styles, it's super exciting. If you thought CAG were crazy, Welcome to Varrel.
Yeah.
I am expecting a lot of crazy shenanigans, your Glaz, your Blitz, your Sens. That's what I want to see from these guys.
That's exactly right. If y'all have never watched Japanese Siege, welcome to Varrel. It is a great introduction into the region because these guys play such a personalized playstyle like none other. They really have some great ideas off the back of their two IGLs, Kawa and Okamesh. They really double up together as the captain and IGL to call on all these great ideas, whether it's something really early in the round or mid-round adaptations. They really know how to change up the pace, and I think you'd be very surprised, even as a viewer looking on the top down, to see what kind of things they can pull off.
And on the flip side for Wolves, this is a team that is highly esteemed. In the last year alone, they made it to every single major. Charlotte, the top 12, and then top 8 performances in both Berlin and Jönköping. So these guys are very familiar with playing on the main stage. And then their 2022 season culminated with a phenomenal top 6 finish at the 6 Invitational. So Wolves have really just been on the up and up in the last 12 months. Of course, there's an asterisk because of what happened just after SI in February. As you said, bit of roster drama going on, a couple of changes in the staff, a couple of changes in the players themselves, and now Deadshot is making his debut. This is his first major. We'll see what the Swiss talent can bring to this French team.
Yeah, and we've really enjoyed watching Wolves so far. Post their roster change, P4 has really moved into that primary IGL role. It's no longer Rise, who is that big captain figure now. P4 has been learning to call every single round, bringing along his own ideas, trying to lead the team in that way. And I think it's brought Wolves a lot of success to be here at the Copenhagen Major.
I don't know what they're saying in chat because I don't speak Japanese, but Okamesh is getting something in there as we get into the very first ban. And Mandy, if you've watched Varrel, you can probably understand why Wolves decided to ban that Ying.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You want to take out one of those disruptor operators. Varrel absolutely love it. Not just Varrel, but most of the Japanese league as well. They love playing Ying when it's on the board. So I think for Wolves to take it out, pretty comfortable.
What's Varrel going to get rid of, though? I wonder if they're going to make the hard breach more difficult. It looks like they will. So instead of getting rid of the Hibana, which a lot of teams will do to try and impact trick down that kitchen hatch on the basement bomb site, they decided to get rid of Thatcher, one of those enabling operators to enable the hard breach. Maverick's still in, though, so we've seen Varrel use that before, and Wolves, they will certainly be confident in opening up these walls without that Thatcher. As for the defense, is Kayib going to slip in? Okay, Mandy, have a look at this. A Warden ban. Well, I feel like we might see, if not the Ying, a little bit of smoke play on the attacking side.
I actually really like this. By taking out Warden, it means that all of a sudden, like you said, smokes become reliable within your attacks. And so bringing things along like the Glaz, Sens, Capital, which is all operators definitely within the pool of Varrel on the attack, they would love to utilize that. And by having Warden off the board, it enables so many different kinds of executes to their toolbox.
And as we get into this map, it's the first time these two teams have ever encountered each other in the server in an official match. Both teams have played a huge number of official matches this year with the new roster, so both teams having made roster changes in the last 50 days. Wolves have played 24 official maps, Varrel have played 19. So these guys have played a hell of a lot of Siege so far this year in the lead up to the major. And most of those matches have been streamed as well, so there's VODs available for counter-stratting from their opponent.
Yeah, certainly very interesting with the format of this last chance qualifier. If you don't make it through stage 1, it means you've got to play a whole lot of other games to actually secure your spot at the major. And while we're all entertained back at home, it's certainly going to tire out the teams playing week to week. But here we are in this first major matchup for these two teams. We're going to be starting out down in the basement for Wolves. But look at what Varrel are bringing along already. We've got the Monty pick for Okayu, and it's supplemented by, of course, Rento on the line and Kawa with the Ash license for trying it and in onto the map nice and quick.
I am very interested. I'm very excited at this operator lineup from the attack. Now we have seen both the Valkyrie and the Azami let slip through that operator veto, Mandy. Both super powerful defense ops. The Valk, I'm sure that P4 will be able to use as the IGL for this team to make good calls, but Okamesh, he's on the front foot. He's getting very keen, and he has spotted Mowgli holding on to Blue, who gets the better of him. A very fiery start here from Varrel, as they're not looking to waste any time whatsoever. Double kill for Kawa before the trade comes through. The final E1D rattles on out, but Deadshot has traded out the Lion himself. It's a 2-on-2.
Man advantage even now. Varrel dialing it back, problem solving. They have no more hard breach. Actually, they do. 2 on Archive, so they can get some of these hatches open and try and crack down on this bomb site and make their way in. C4 prepped in the hands of Deadshot. Will it connect? It doesn't seem like he will, as he waits, lying inside of Church. Wolves so far playing a very disciplined game.
This rush has panned out very swiftly. C4 comes out. That's a huge amount of damage onto both of the Japanese attackers. Out comes the fire. And this is perfect now for Deadshot. A triple kill in the opening round, and that diffuser cold. It's now up to DD, low HP, as he waits the 20 seconds for this fire to subside. Such a difficult crossfire he must enter into, and Deadshot is sitting safely behind the Keeper barrier in Church. Out comes DD, the pre-fire, that gets him the kill, or the injure at least. Shinka now, with the pressure on his shoulders to clutch. He has information from his down teammate, from some cameras. And DD must deliver now in the 1v2. He's looked to isolate the first, and he's trying to get back towards the diffuser to secure the second. The pre-fire comes out. The diffuser picked up again, finished off the down player. 45 seconds now to play this game of cat and mouse.
But it's Shinka, the clutch king. Can you really count on him to lose this one?
You certainly can't ever count out Shinka, but DD's got the read. He heard the spray. The pre-fire doesn't quite come out from DD. He still doesn't know it. And Shinka holds his nerve. It was a tight contest at the end of it, but Wolves come out just barely on top.
Nice stuff from Wolves to retain their composure right at the end in the 2-on-2. They had the tools that they needed left on the site to shut out that Monty in tandem with DD right behind him. The fire and the flames, unfortunately, would take down the big shield player. No bullets needed, and it left DD in a pretty tough 1-on-2 that he almost clutched out, but Shinka, well, you can never count him out with the SMG-11.
You certainly can't. Shinka is such a phenomenal support player for this roster. Funnily enough, it was Bibu who was the clutch king in the last chance qualifiers. Something is in the water with these Japanese teams, Mandy. They just lost the round, and that was their reaction. These guys are just so happy to be here. Yeah. The privilege of playing against talent like Wolves is, I mean, they just appreciate it so much, and they're ready to give it their all.
I mean, that's such a big thing for APAC, right? This is the first stage that Japan has had its very own league. It's the first time that playing in just Japan League feeds straight into an international event. And so for teams like Varrel, for teams like Northeption, this is the first time watching their heroes play or getting to play against their heroes, right? People that we've seen on the international stage time and time again, champions, big names like Wolves. And so for Varrel, honestly, they're just having the time of their lives, playing the most competitive Siege that they've probably ever seen in their entire career.
These guys never played in APAC North in the past. They were just an RJL team, you know, a national league team. And now they're competing against Wolves, some of the most esteemed players in the game of Siege. I mean, how many seasons of EUL have all of these, or at least 4 of these 5 players competed in before? They are experts. They know what they're doing. But Varrel will bring the fire. Good information gathering. I love this 0 pick.
Rento taking a chunk of damage from an engagement over on the Logi hatch. We'll have to be a little more cautious there. Wolves actually playing a pretty conservative defense off the back of the Azami. Being left in means that they can make that gym and bedroom area a lot more viable to play in. There are not that many power positions inside of Master itself, but having keeper gates there, having shields there, makes things like playing around the bed, playing around the mattress a lot more viable. And so Wolves are really going to be leaning into that come to the late round of this attack.
This army has been a real pain, hasn't it? Making it so difficult to clear off these bandit batteries, but fortunately for Rakayu, he's just going to use the Maverick. He's opened the top, and now he's going to open up the bottom. That should trick the wall. He needs to finish this off, though. He hasn't quite done the full side. There you go. The wall has now become soft. Doesn't really have any teammates to go and actually make that a walkable hole, though.
Yeah, it's a bit dangerous. I think the only soft breach they had was actually breach charges on Rento, who I think has just fallen off the roof, unfortunately. Thankfully, one of his teammates are there to help him out, so that's not too bad. But like you said, it's going to be pretty tough to get that wall open, and instead Varrel realized that, well, we can't really attack all that directly. Let's try and sweep the map instead. Didi grouping his way up the red stairs now, takes an engagement with Deadshot on the other side on the Jaeger. Chunk of damage, now just a slither of HP as Deadshot rounds the corner and takes him down.
A lot of HP lost for his troubles, but the kill is what's important. Speaking of HP, look at the bars on the Varrel side. Deadshot does find his second onto the low Rento. At least Kawa had found one, but it's all falling apart now for the Japanese. Wolves have been in control of this round. Deadshot is still in control of Cash as well.
Okamesh.
What's he gonna do?
Oh, he actually catches him. P4 looking for the peek onto the gym window. Unfortunately, doesn't quite connect the shots. And like you pointed out before, a very low Deadshot doesn't want to give away his life. Otherwise, the man advantage will be even.
Deadshot does actually have an angle onto that gym window drum pin where Okamesh is at the moment. And as that timer goes down very low, there's no choice but for Varrel to jump on in. Deadshot's got the long angle. The second one jumps in. Kawa does get the kill, but is traded back immediately by Wolves, who are sitting composed 2 rounds in a row.
Really nice from Wolves to hunker down on the site and not overextend in their peaks. They were able to find Varrel as they loitered their way up the red stairs and tried to go for the sweep across the map. But it was really the bandit player on the top of the red stairs, Deadshot, that took all the engagements necessary to win out that round. I think he collected 3 to his name in the end, 1, 2, and the last one to jump through the window as well in this final replay. He did a fantastic job here with this long line of sight, even only in just 1x scope. He gets the job done. That's so funny. You have the Wolves camps, but you can hear the Varrel players in the background.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like, Wolves, this is just another day in the office for them, right?
Yeah.
They're so chill. They're like, all right, yeah, good round, well played. And Varrel, they lose a round, and they're like, yeah, nice. I mean, if anything, you can't discredit their energy. And something I noticed really when we casted that in NIP 6 Karma game, right? Like, 6 Karma was super energized, and NIP in particular, I think it was Pino.
Yeah.
We kept seeing his camera, and he just looked so upset.
Yeah.
It has a massive impact on how you perform.
Mental game's a massive thing here in Rainbow Six Siege, especially the international events where you can quite literally like see your opponents face to face, and not just that, but you can see your teammates as well. Just looking to the side and seeing one of your teammates smile or laugh can really change your outlook on what's going on. And so I think with Varrel, with their mentality going into it, yes, they are down to 0-2 at the moment, but that's not going to put them down in the mental game. They're still going to be fired up and fighting.
And let's not forget as well, that first round was very, very close. Could well have been a Varrel win. Now we're seeing, once again, Mandy, something a little bit spicy. Now, this is strategy we have seen before in the Japan League. The smoke onto the wall and the Maverick to then make a hole. Rento is going to peek through this hole, and with no warden on the other side, no one is going to be able to see it from the defense. They jump in from the gridlock, and that plan starting to be forced down by Okayu. Is there plan denial? Okamesh has the cover with the LMG! This is Japanese Rainbow Six at its best. Welcome, Wolves. You're in for a real treat here. It's now a 2 versus 4 for the French, but the cover is perfect here from Varrel. Poor Mowgli with it all to do, and Okamesh closes the round. This is Japan.
That's what we wanted to see out of Varrel. Come on, guys, get fired up. 4 smokes in for a hop in, and like you said, the glass Maverick trick on the wall to cover that plant going down completely caught Wolves off guard as they were able to play the objective and close out the round.
Oh, what a treat. It always is such a privilege to see rushes like that. Okamesh had actually snuck his way down below, and he came up the red stairs to find the final one too.
I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Shout out as well to our observers. Nice, really nice little top down that we got in the corner there to see exactly what was going on down in that execute. It's always so exciting to see smoke plays. And like we were saying before, Warden being banned out by Varrel, that's exactly the kind of execute that you want to go for when smokes become so reliable like that. As Warden is such a potent operator now in the meta, him being taken out really caught Wolves off guard, and they're able to pull off things like that.
And isn't it really cool to see an operator that doesn't get a lot of limelight, like Gridlock, finding its way into that round? Like, not only is Gridlock fantastic for rushes because it makes it much more difficult to run through as a defender to try and quickly swing and rotate, but also those track stingers, the animation then deploying makes a huge amount of sound. And most of the time, that will mask the sound of the plant. I'm pretty sure Wolves wouldn't have known that that plant was going down.
Bibu was right next to, I can't remember who was playing the Gridlock, planting right next to him, and he had absolutely no idea what was going on. We're seeing it again, actually. Look, we got Sens being picked up by Rento as well as Didi back on that Glaz to try and make something special happen.
Sens doesn't get a lot of play, but the thing that Sens really does excel at is being like Glaz's best friend, right? So Glaz can look through smoke, but the more he moves, the less vision he'll have through the smoke. With a Sens wall, he can see through and move as much as he wants, the Glaz can. And so it just makes that Glaz so much more able to be aggressive.
Wolves have given away a lot of map control to Varrel so far. They haven't looked for a very extended roam. An entire 2 minutes left on the clock for Varrel to plan out this mid to late rounds and figure out what execute they're going to go for. How exactly are they going to use the Sens? Now, we've seen a very famous Sens execute. W7M onto this basement bomb site just before, so I wonder if Varrel are going to look to replicate something like that.
Yeah, I remember back to the Six Invitational, and W7M really blew us away with that Sens Glaz execute onto Church Arsenal. Not sure if Varrel is looking to cook up the same thing. The real priority for that is to open up this moto hatch, which has already been done.
Cam ready.
No kitchen hatch, no dirt pressure as of yet. The Caillou does have 3 Selmas, and he's going to put him here on the triple wall.
Yeah, good stuff. It does seem like it is going to be a church execute for Varrel as the time starts to tick away.
Oh, wow.
A minute and 10 left on the clock, and Mowgli has actually found Didi off the back of that. That's the Glaz gone. That is something mission critical to their push if they want to supplement it with the Sens.
Well, this is the most important player, and it must have just been, I'm not sure whether the Sens wall was misplaced, whether there was some kind of denial, a C4 or an impact from Wolves, or whether it was just a lucky pre-fire, well-placed pre-fire through the smoke from Mowgli. But nonetheless, this is getting very awkward now for Varrel.
With just 45 seconds left on the clock, they're looking to attack from different sides. Keeper Gates closing off the breaches. Mowgli collects a second to his name. Okamesh going down, and with only 35 seconds left, Wolves look like they're in pole position to take the round.
Yeah, and that Azami has made it so difficult. Every time Varrel breaches open that church wall, there is a response. Finally, a response as well for Varrel as Mowgli goes down. 3v4, that timer ticking away, but P4 is not done yet. Bibu gets in on the action. It's all up to Carwell, bottom main stairs. That diffuser cold on the ground in short. So many angles now to cover. And with 4 players to find, I'm afraid that Kawa here is doomed to die. Dead shot to finish him off. And Wolves up 3-1 here on their defense.
Really great work there from the Azami of Bibu as he's able to use them spontaneously through the mid to late round and patching up the holes on the wall. What that meant was that Church was suddenly much safer to play in than Varrel had anticipated. They were able to make sure they could play around that breach area safely. Not only that, but the Azami gate on the table as well adds an additional power position inside of that bomb site. And I think Varrel in the end really played into the hands of that impromptu strategy that Wolves brought out through the mid round.
Yeah, massive credit to Mowgli there. He really stopped that push. We just saw it on the replay. He actually peeked around the Sens wall, so he managed to see the Glaz. So he just timed it perfectly. Took advantage of a slight misplacement of that Sens wall. And that's the thing with these very rush and execute-centric plays that Varrel tend to love. You have to dot all your I's and cross all your T's. As soon as something is a millimeter off, there's an angle and the defense will win it.
I think the way I'd phrase it is it takes a lot of finesse to get it right. Like every single little part of your push kind of has to go right. And if something doesn't go exactly the way you want it to, there's a slip in the crack, a weird line of sight that you realize you didn't make for the defenders or something like that, it can fall apart. And that's a big criticism of Varrel through stage 1 is that although their playstyle is so unique, it's unpredictable and it's fun, it can be inconsistent.
Well, as for Wolves, they have been so consistent. 12-map win streak, as you pointed out, between the last chance qualifiers and the GWB qualifiers. These guys have been on an absolute tear, really farming through Europe. I believe they've defeated 6 different EUL teams, including Virtus Pro, who are the champions of the league throughout that campaign. And they've been nigh undefeated in BO3s. Now, this is a BO1, which has proved more challenging for them, but the same can be said for Varrel.
All right, so Varrel, you've got 1 attack on the board, but can you make it 2? Gym and Bedroom will be the next bomb site of choice, and once again, the Azami being cycled through the players of Wolves. It's now on P4 this time on Gym and Bedroom. Now, last time we really saw Varrel struggle to get their way into that bomb site. Master Bedroom and Gym was very fortified by those keeper gates to create additional power positions, and this time it seems like they're going to try and do something a little bit more direct.
Yeah, this is a much better attack here for Varrel. Already a lot of progress made. In comes Carwow, jumps straight on inside. But he's lost 2 teammates already. Akayu and DD goes down. Carwow finally finds P4 inside a gym. Okamesh, though, he needed to win that fight to keep this round winnable. All up to Carwow now. He's found 2. He's going to have to find all 5 in the round. Isolating these ones is essential. A nice pre-fire, but doesn't quite land the shot. Unfortunately, that Capcan trap has taken him down very low. And Mowgli to finish him off. It seems like we're saying this man's name every single round. And he's leading Wolves to a seemingly dominant half.
Yeah, Mowgli was like, that's my Capcan trap. I'm finishing the job. It didn't kill him. And he swoops around the corner and takes down Kawa. Not a bad idea from Varrel. Change up the pace, try and go for something a little bit more direct and a little bit more quick, opening up the breach and hitting the bomb site directly. But Wolves were ready for it. They were absolutely there to recollect themselves back on the site, to play the trade game. And in the end, it was a pretty heavy man advantage to them as they retain their composure and close out the round.
Starting to see Wolves getting a bit fired up as well. They're looking comfortable here. This is a very good lead, and even if they are to lose this final round of the half, a 4-2 on their defense is pretty admirable, in my opinion, on Clubhouse. I will say, that Azami being left in, Solus is also left in. We haven't talked about her at all. And the Valkyrie, 3 super powerful defensive operators, and that's the real cost of banning out that Warden. It's the opportunity cost. You don't get to ban out something else.
And that's a big problem as well for Varrel, is that as soon as you have both Azami and Solus in the way that I see the game currently, no matter what map you're playing on, it's going to lean in towards that defender-sided sort of scope, because you have to bring so many additional tools to try and deal with one or the other. If Solus is there, you need to add something to your roam clear to make it a bit easier. If Azami is there, you need additional explosives to bring through the mid-rounds. And with Clubhouse, it's such a hard map to bring along all the tools that you need, right? Clubhouse is such a checklisty map. You need a lot of hard breach first of all to get things done. Then you need a lot of just buck sledge to get walls open, to play the vertical. And then on top of that, you need explosive. It leaves very little room for Varrel to do what Varrel does best.
Well, there's one last chance for them to have a fiery attack. No Glaz, no Gridlock, nothing of the sort this round. Much more conventional. Not a single smoke in sight, in fact. But here comes the Maverick, and Okamesh is on his nice rappel. Was actually just deployed to get rid of that bandit battery, though. And so the wall will indeed be opened by the Selma. I believe an impact there from P4 might have made that breach insufficient, however.
It's possible, and I think you might be right. It's now only a line of sight rather than a vault-in hole. Now, keep in mind that a vault-in hole is not mission critical to the execute that Varrel would like to do. All they need is that line of sight to assist them in clearing that position inside of garage and creating a line of sight to make sure that that mobile player on side of rafters can't wiggle around all too much. Although Varrel seem to have decided to flip their push around as Carl creeps his way up the main stairs, but taken down by Deadshot. Lurk unsuccessful.
Yeah, he's one of the best fraggers at the moment for Varrel, so that'll be a pretty devastating blow. Once again, this Azami is creating some amazing positions. There's no way Deadshot gets that onto Okamesh. So well played there. He timed it perfectly, heard the nade pin pull, and went for the swing. Varrel are really on the ropes here, Mandy.
Yeah, this is a tough position for them to be in, and Mowgli's got so confident he's decided to play the server rack and actually peek this half breach that has been made by the attackers, knowing it is just a line of sight, and he wants to protect his teammates inside of garage. Now on a 3-on-5 with only 50 seconds left to go and not that much real estate on the map, it doesn't look too good for Varrel, and Wolves look very comfortable to take the round.
This Azami is just so devastating. But hang on, Rento's jumped on inside.
Oh.
Hasn't managed to take down this player on rafters as of yet, though. Now the last two remaining attackers will look to hunt. Who is that? Bibu. Lying prone now on top of the rafters position, waiting for his moment, biding his time. Akayu finds the long angle onto Mowgli. That's the player you want to take down. But Bibu, he jumps on up. He finds the first one. Now it's on DD to trade. He does. Very risky amount of time. Look at the HP as well now for the attack. DD looking to make a very ambitious rotate with just 7 seconds left. This is desperation, and it's simply not going to happen for Varrel. Wolves will be very happy with such a dominant defense. 5-1, moving into the second half.
Really good stuff for Wolves going on the defending half. They didn't look like they went through that much adversity through the entire thing. It was really on that Azami that was being cycled through the players of Wolves to create these mid-round adaptations that dealt with the Varrel attack so well. First of all, we saw them already create these additional power positions. We saw it a lot on Gym and Bedroom, for example. Even down in the basement when Varrel tried to do this really cheeky attack with the Sens, it was completely blocked out by the Azami, blocking out that breach. Even here now, inside of CCTV and Cash, it enables Mowgli to play around that server rack. It means that Rafters is really safe. It means that he can block up the breach a little bit later into the round. There's just so much that the Azami did for Wolves through the mid to late round that brought them a lot of defenders.
Exceptional half for Wolves. They really know how to use that Azami to perfection. And now my question is, how do they do it at dealing with that Azami, right? DD's now playing it for Varrel. But I'm going to admit, I'm a bit concerned here for Varrel. They might have found one beautiful attack round with that Cash CCTV rush, with the gridlock and the Glaz and the Maverick. But that's the only thing they found all game, Mandy. And while one of the rounds, the very first round, was a very close 1v1, a lot of the rest of these rounds have been pretty dominant in favor of Wolves. And I think they'll be very confident now moving on to their attack.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Do keep in mind that because both Azami and Solus are left in for the defense, I was expecting this map to be a little more defender-favored regardless. I felt like there's a lot for the attack to deal with, although I feel like Wolves have actually brought along kind of the right lineup to deal with it already.
You all right there, man?
I'm not dying. I'm okay. We've got Mowgli, who's got the Ashe, and while Kawa was playing the Ashe as well on the attack up, Kawa was doing things like looking for lurks and whatnot, right? But you can immediately see here, P4 and Mowgli are actually immediately assisting the push on that early to mid round and making sure that they have their explosives in the right place to try and deal with Azami early on.
Well, now an attempt here from Wolves to breach this wall. The electrical has been found, and the EMP has gone out. Wall successfully breached now. Bibu tries to... Oh, actually, it's a rush. Look at that for Wolves. Fight fire with fire, I guess. Rushing into the top floor. Nice shot from P4. And that does bring the man advantage back to Wolves' favor. It was Akayu who found the opening kill, but immediately Wolves have found two in response. DD's evened up the numbers once again, as Deadshot is in the dirt. 3v3. And Wolves, while they don't have the site yet, this is bar and stage, remember, they do have top floor control.
A really great mini execute there onto that top floor has enabled them the control that they need on the vertical. No more denial can be made from the defenders unless they go for the retake. Wolves, though, with info. Yellow ping goes out, a grenade to be sent through, does sink a little bit of damage onto DD Man, but no kill. P4 can now use the vertical to his advantage, clearing out the entire bomb site, knowing that two of these Varrel players are there on the retake. Off the back of that info may enable Wolves to go for an execute.
What's critical here for Wolves is one of the big players they've taken out is Kawa on the Solus. If he was still alive, he could enable a very potent retake from Varrel by seeing where that plant's going down. But instead now the rest of these Varrel players are feeling a bit of pressure as the logic bomb goes out. Akayu hangs up his phone, but the drone may have spotted him there from inside the kitchen hallway. Shinka seems to have a clue about these positions, as well as trying to suss out whether there's a possibility for an execute.
Yeah, dial it back. They don't want to rush themselves into this not knowing where that third defender is. One has actually started to retake up the top as well. Okamesh taking a chunk of damage. They have info on the player on the back of the site. Bibu does not want to go for the plant just yet. Sends out a flashbang. He's going to round the corner and can collect that kill nice and easy onto DD. Now with only 15 seconds left to go, has to go for an execute, but Okayu's only on a sliver of HP.
Oh, and he's found the one he needs. Can he get P4 as well? Shinka on the ground. P4 has to find this kill. Akayu doesn't need to peek, but he does anyway. And Varrel, they got a second round on the board.
Really good stuff there from Varrel, especially Alkayu in the last few seconds to recompose and take down the planter as he went for that kill onto his teammate. Unfortunately there for Wolves, although the mini execute onto the top floor was successful, they couldn't quite translate it down another floor as they felt the pressure of the Varrel players going for that retake onto the top floor, then having to figure out where the final defender on the site was. There's just a little bits of missing intel for Wolves, and they were scared to go for that execute, and off the back of that hesitation, Varrel recompose and win the round.
Bar is such a good side when it comes to retaking. Like, if you forfeit bomb site control, but you've got control all around the bomb site, like we saw from Varrel, players in kitchen, player upstairs in con ready to drop the hatch, a player in lounge ready to rotate in. But Wolves played it really well, to their credit. And Varrel are very lucky to have won that round, took some heroics by the end of it.
That's exactly right. That round was so back and forth, right? The mini execute was so successful for Wolves, although they lost a few men in the process of that, but it was really that transition point, the point of limbo between that mid-round to execute, where they hesitated off the back of a lack of intel, and I think Varrel just did a great job at identifying what they could go for and trying to press the attack onto Wolves. And it's one of those rounds of Siege that are always so exciting to watch when it's so back and forth like that.
Well, Mandy, the trend continues. We have only seen a single attack round one so far here on Clubhouse. Wolves are looking to add a second mark in that column. Bibu has had a phenomenal game so far. I just realized he's on double digits already. He is taken very low here by an aggressive peek from Varrel.
Okamesh has identified that there is some drone work going down onto that ground floor, and it's probably calling out to his teammates that in fact they are not so directly attacking the bomb site, which is gym and bedroom, and they are in fact setting up their way down below. Mowgli with a small peek onto the breach there is able to get a look in on this main stairs, supplemented by Deadshot now opening up the wall as well, so not too bad in terms of the progress from the Wolves, but it feels like Varrel so far have got a pretty good read on the attack.
Very curious setup there from Varrel, not reinforcing one of those walls, even though they did have a reinforcement spare, I thought. Maybe not, apparently. Now
Miscalculation.
Yeah, I don't know, a bit strange. No reinforcements left. I read that wrong. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Well, Wolves, at least they had the buck to open that up. They've made some good progress now as well on the CCTV side. They reinforced over it.
Oh gosh.
So
okay.
they actually didn't have a reinforcement. The buck opened it up and then they reinforced over it.
Spooky.
What the?
P4 probably just came back to this wall and was like,
hang on a second,
I thought we breached this a few moments ago. Oh, Deadshot taking a bunch of damage off the back of the CC window from Kawa, who has decided to retreat back into his shell a little bit with a minute left to go. Wolves need to figure out exactly what their point of execute is going to be. Are they going to sweep the map or try and hit the bomb site directly? Mowgli looking for a lurk on the other side of the map, can round the corner here inside of Cash onto a low Kawa, who drops the hatch to safety. Mowgli instead trying to look for this added con control, yellow ping to go out and a nade to flush out the player in the corner of DD does force him away, and Deadshot can get the cutoff.
And now they're encroaching upon this bomb site up Wolves. They got numbers advantage. Nice nade there. Akayu feeling the pressure. It wasn't cooked, however, so he might be able to sustain some damage. A good flash. No, actually doesn't work out. In fact, P4 may have flashed himself. The second one does blind Akayu for just a moment. And that's enough time for Shinka to find the kill. Wolves numbers advantage, but that's immediately changed as Okamesh is on for the flank and Rento's holding down the fort on site. Just two players left, but it's Mowgli to find yet another. He regroups with his teammate of Shinko, who needs to force that plant down.
Yeah, but the site is cleared, Zeb. They could try and get the plant down, but the info is there. And Kawa has the diffuser in his pocket.
And it has been denied by Okamesh. He gets both of them. And Varrel are fired up here. Wolves did almost everything right, and yet Varrel once again stole it away.
Really nice work there from Varrel as they're able to recollect themselves there on the execute phase of the round. Okamesh looking for a very opportunistic flank as Wolves looked a little rattled trying to get their way into the bomb site. They couldn't enter in through the breach. The window pressure wasn't quite there, even though Deadshot was able to kill one. And Alkayu being able to re-aggress onto that breach really stunted the push in its measure. And for Shinka, unfortunately, attempting to get the bomb down, it was completely read by Kawa with the Valkyrie cameras and shut down by Okamesh to close it out.
I wish I had half the energy of these players.
Have my energy.
I think I'm going to need 10 more coffees to get
my
even
energy.
slightly on
I'm sending
Okimesh's
it
level.
to you.
Wow.
That's so cool.
I mean, it continues to amaze me how teams that are
10 seconds left.
on their debut, like there's no doubt about it, like they are outnumbered, outgunned coming
5
into this
seconds left
tournament.
before insertion.
And yet, even at they were at a 5-1 deficit, even then, it's still got this level of energy, this level of motivation. I don't care if they're losing. They will bring it back.
Yeah, absolutely ecstatic to be here. And like, honestly, Deb, I mean, so am I. Like, we've covered this region for an entire stage now. We've gotten to be excited over the Japanese roster for week upon week, and to see them here now at an international event, I think is just so heartwarming. It is really great to see them here. But Wolves is a pretty formidable opponent to try and take down. That is scary for your first matchup.
Wolves are very much returning to the form that we saw at the Six Invitational, where they peaked with that top 6 performance. Obviously, it was a struggle. You know, when you lose Rise, you lose a player that's been on the roster for a while. It changes the I don't know, the chemistry of the team, like especially trying to onboard Deadshot in a short amount of time. But I mean, they're really on form now, right?
I was just going to say that. I think to Deadshot's credit, 9-5 scoreline right now has been really impactful through the server. I think we've really felt him being super active and engaged in all the gunfights that are necessary. I think, honestly, like, I feel like this is an upgrade for Wolves. I think they look really comfortable with Deadshot, and I think P4's really coming to his own as the IGL of the roster.
Yeah, and, you know, just to round out the squad, obviously Mowgli's had a few massive rounds, especially on the defense, where Varrel looked like they might have had a successful rush. And just look at the scoreline, you'll see how impactful Bibu has been. He's got the 2.0 KD, and he's playing Thermo right now.
Yeah. Incredible stuff so far from Wolves as they start to amount their attack onto the basement. Not a whole lot of roam presence from the side of Varrel has enabled them to take this ground floor with ease, set up their flank drones as they might need them. They have all the hard breach that they might need with 2 exothermic charges and all the Hibana pellets of the world on P4 to open up the bomb site as they so wish. Not only that, but Deadshot with the IQ in hand is actually going to be able to see Kawa's Black Eyes this time around, so not going to be as scared of, well, them knowing exactly where the plan is going down this time.
It's one thing to know where those cameras are, but it's another thing to actually get into a position to shoot them, because often when you are in a position to be able to take out one of those cameras, that is going to land, that is going to trick. Yeah, there you go. Just threw that claw out early enough. Yeah, what's the hard breach situation? Still a lot of Hibana X-Karas left, but I think the concern here for the Wolves is time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Not only do they have the, oh wow, another set of impacts as well. Varrel doing an excellent job right now on the defense to play this kitchen hatch minigame and stopping them from making this push happen. And time is the enemy of Wolves. Yes, there are still 12 X-Kairos for P4, but does he really have time to get all 12 of them down? No, he doesn't. But Mowgli taking down Okamesh can help their cause.
I mean, that was a massive mistake for Okamesh, but fortunately for Varrel, the time is the enemy for Wolves as they must collapse now. They find another pick. Shinka is straight on in. He needs to find this kill on the player at the bar. And now he has the ability to plan. It's a 1v2 for Rakayu with Bibu to cover, and he does it perfectly. This guy is just farming.
They are doing so well, Wolves, even in the dire situations of the kitchen hatch not quite being open. Although the plans don't quite come into form, they're able to pull something out of the hat. It's not their only point of entry into the bomb site. They had this backup plan. They had Mowgli, who managed to find the control inside of Blue. Off the back of that, they're able to make their way in from inside of Moto and instead choose to collapse onto that church side of the bomb site instead. It's great. A mid to late round spontaneous adaptation closed out the round for them and put them on match point against Varrel.
Now the tactical timeout for Varrel has been called. Really, they've left it quite late, but I don't blame them. I didn't want to disrupt their momentum when they was having some success on that defensive side. With this from Bibu, it was just massive. Every now and then, a player just has a huge game. And today it's Bibu. He's been the kind of silent killer. I mean, there haven't been a lot of moments where I've been shouting his name, and yet you look at the scoreboard, he's got 12 kills to 5 deaths, and that round would have simply been Varrel's if it wasn't for Bibu.
That's exactly right. Bibu able to play the refrag game onto Mowgli, who was able to get that blue control initially, really enabled that push to come through. As soon as you have blue control, you have so much enabled for you in both a kitchen push or a church push, right? You can get your line of sight into both bomb sites. You can take gun engagements there really easily, and having 2 or 3 players go down there and be able to take that engagement with Jinka coming in with the diffuser as well was really what enabled them to get that down. And an experienced player like Bibu is exactly the person that you want to enable that push.
Bibu is highly, highly experienced and actually one of the oldest players at the event as well, the 8th oldest. He's been on real good form ever since Wolves struggled in the EUL this stage. They went to the last chance qualifiers, and I mean, he was just on fire. 5 clutches, the most of anyone in that tournament. And he's had a lot of clutch moments this game as well. One thing that's interesting, just looking at kills, everyone on Varrel is between 5 and 8 kills, so very much tight. On the flip side of Wolves, you've got Bibu leading the way with 4 times as many kills as the lowest player on the team in P4, and I think it's a bit of a reflection of, I guess, more typical role structure on Wolves. It feels like P4 is doing the majority of his work while he's on his drones. And Bibu is really leading the way in the fragging, whereas for Varrel, it's much more of a shared situation.
Yeah, it's really interesting as well. Not only that, but Bibu and P4 are the 2 big leadership figures of the team as well. Although P4 is the primary IGL, Bibu does do a lot of calling himself as one of the more experienced players and is really good at finding these opportunistic moments. And you just know that with Bibu injecting himself in pushes like that, that it's really going to help his team around him now. Deadshot has found a lurk inside of Strip Club and is able to collect the first pick of this round onto Renzo, potentially the final round of the series.
It's a big opener. And a big play to lose early in the dock. I mean, no heals late rounds. Utility is utterly useless. Didn't even find a kill with the 1.5. This roam, though, is still at large for Varrel. Wolves have done, oh no, they've done such a good job here. Okamesh is caught out. DD as well. It's all fallen to pieces for Varrel. 2 players left. Up against 5 from Wolves. The onslaught will surely begin shortly, and Kawa has been caught out on his rotation as well. All to do now for Akayu, and he can't even find anything. Wolves close it with a flawless round. And what did seem to be a bit of a close game ended in quite handily a fashion for the Wolves. A big game for them, and with that, we'll go to a quick break. Well, 3 rounds in, that promised to be a tight contest, but then Wolves did run away with it. What seemed to be a defensive-favoured game, credit to Wolves, they managed to pull away with a couple of really nice attacks. I mean, huge rounds from Bibu, Mowgli, and these guys, the Frenchies, they're looking in form.
Yeah, absolutely. They're looking good. I think the pickup of Deadshot that they've got is super good. He looks really comfortable in his role as Speak of the Devil. He comes up straight away in the highlights. And Bibu, I think, was really the name on our tongues towards the end there. 12 or 13 kills to his name, I believe it was, towards the end there. Was really the MVP of the series, doing all the hard work for Wolves. They just looked super comfortable in the server to take down Varrel 7-3.
I mean, it was a lot of fun seeing Varrel's playstyle and the contrast, the juxtaposition between the way these two teams play the game. Wolves so much more typical, and what we've seen from them is much more familiar to a lot of people that would watch Europe. But Varrel play this very aggressive, very execute-heavy, cool as exciting Japanese playstyle of Siege. And while we did see a couple of successful rushes from them, it really was Wolves' game through and through. They were just looking better at every turn.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think, to piggyback off the point of Wolves that we're talking about in the server as well, I think P4 and Bibu both have done a great job in that series in leading the team. There were so many rounds here, like, for example, this basement execute, right? It looked unwinnable. They couldn't get the hatch open. They couldn't get the triple wall open, but they still made a last-ditch effort work off the back of this blue and Moto push at the exact same time. It was so well coordinated with the minimal tools and entry points that they have, but if there's any teams do it, it's the Wolves, because their teamwork is so good.
Yeah, it really is. And the fact that the Azami got left in, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Warden ban, especially with how much Varrel loved the Glaz and the Ying and all that. But I do think that Azami being left in was to the massive detriment of the Japanese here. The Wolves just so good at using that operator. And overall, fantastic game from the Wolves. Back in form after a rough start in the EUL. That's 13 maps in a row now won. They're on quite the streak. And Ginny, I believe you have the lovely Bibu AF ready for us on an interview.
We do indeed have Bibu. So first of all, congratulations. You guys had a great game. How does it feel being in Copenhagen?
Thank you. Feel good. Nice country, nice city, nice hotel, and yeah, I think it's feeling good to win our first game and be there at the major. So nothing more.
You guys came through LCQ for EUL. You fought wild on that final game to really get here. So how does it feel to win your first game? Because you still have a best of 3 coming your way. That's going to be on Thursday. What are the emotions like right now?
Just calm, happy with how the team played. We knew it was a tricky game. We don't really know the Japanese scene a lot. We just see few games from them. So we never knew they are kind of cheesy play styles on some stuff. So we needed to take care. We take the match seriously, never underestimate anyone at the major. And I think we were good. They were good.
Yeah.
They put out some good rounds, but at the end we took the win, and that's all matter.
Okay, well, that's really lovely to hear, because even in the EUL, you were very much saying, we're not going to underestimate any team. We're going to do a lot of prep. So lovely to see that coming into play. But one of the things as well that you touched on was communication being maybe sometimes a little too much, sometimes a little too quiet. Do you feel that on that LAN environment, when you're all on the same desk, that's much easier to do?
It's easier and not easier.
Okay, yeah.
Because there is energy. You can feel the energy of your teammates, stuff like that. So it's building hype and stuff like that. So it's helping in games. But at the same time, sometimes there's too much energy. Okay. And you are on the first game of the major. You are not so comfortable. So you need to take care about that, especially with their game style. Yeah. So yeah, it's good. The communication was good. We just focus on it a lot because we know that it's a key part of winning games. So we try to focus. We take a time out. I think it was a bit to calm down a bit, maybe adapt a bit on what they were doing also. And I think it works because we won our last round. So.
You did indeed. You have your best of 3 against W7M. So we've just seen them play. They had a really good performance. They went 7-1. So did you get the chance to watch that game?
We just watched the score a bit from far, but I mean, we know W7M, we fight them a lot last year. It's not the same team. There are 2 new players, but we know they are experienced, they have a good coach, 3 people like W7, G92, Erds and KZ are from last year, so I think it's a good team, a really good team, and there are 2 new additional players are very good too. Yeah. And yeah, they show it today, so it will be a great game.
It will be a good game indeed. It's going to be best of 3. So far we've seen the best of 1 here on LAN. Is there anything that you think coming into that best of 3 that might potentially raise an issue?
No issue. I think we are better in best of 3 than in best of 1. We show it. We get 4-0, 0-4 on best of 1 in UL, and we just won everything after that in open quals and LCQ. So I think we are a good team in best of 3. So yeah, it will be a great match. Never underestimate, of course. And we will just prepare the match as we did. And I think it will be good.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. Thank you so much for the interview. I appreciate it, Bibu. We're going to be back after the break.